So there's a couple different places that you can do this. You have the media page, you have the cut page, and you also have the edit page. I'm going to show you from the media page. Super easy, simple. You can do it multiple different ways, but if you don't want to have to worry too much about it, you go, I'm on Mac, so you go to Finder, wherever your video files are. Let's say you got multiple. I'm gonna just grab all of these. And then literally all I'm gonna do is grab it from here and drag it over here and drop them in place. You'll see a prompt that will pop up that says, that will ask you if you want to hit change frame rate. You can decide for yourself if that's something you want to do based on your project. I do want to do that in this case. I'm going to hit change and you will see all your files here. And that's how you import media into Davinci Resolve 18. For bonus, here's a second way that you can import media into Davinci Resolve 18. While on the cut page, if for you, the cut page is the first thing you see, or if you're just gonna be editing in the cut page, you can do the same thing. Go grab your clips, drag them over to where it says no clips in media pool. Bam, there you go. Simple as that. Now let's say you want to do it on the edit page. You can do it there too. First thing I see though is the effects tab is open in my top left. So what you want to do is go to media pool and then same thing. You can go over to Finder, pull open your window, drag and drop. All right, so this is a video I shot for my brother for his company, and he just wanted it to be, you know, regular horizontal video, and that was all he wanted. But let's say he came to me and said, hey, I like the video, but I want to be able to have it vertical for social media. This is how I would go about doing that. Basically, I would just save a new project to make a copy. I would just say save project as, and then it says copy right now. Let's just say I did 9:16 for a vertical. Now you see at the top here that the title is different, so you know that you're now in a new project. So any changes you make here is not going to mess up the other one because you had a new one. And if you click on the project manager button, you see you have this new one here. So you're good to go there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is go to my settings wheel here at the bottom right, and I'm going to go to use vertical resolution. So this is super easy because all I got to do is check it, and it's going to automatically make the conversion for you. You don't have to do the math or, you know, swap things out, which is good because it can be different. If it's 4K, it's not going to be 1920 by 1080. It's going to be something different. So you'd have to go in and, you know, make those adjustments yourself. This just makes it quick and easy. Swaps it so that way your horizontal becomes your vertical, horizontal, all that good stuff. Hit save, and now here we go. We now have our nice 9:16 vertical video for Instagram and TikTok and all of that. But as you see, things get all messed up and changed around. One thing about the Davinci Resolve's graphics are that they're built for vertical video, so you'll notice that things look kind of messed up. So you know, you can go in and make adjustments. We're going to just turn that off for now. Now what you need to do is kind of go through and make the adjustments to all your clips. This is the free version, and I'm going to show you how to do it because I know not everyone has the paid version. So I'm going to show you how to do it manually. But if you have the studio version of Davinci Resolve, there is a way that you can make the program do it itself. But we're just going to do it right here on the edit page for free. And honestly, it's not that difficult in my opinion. All I'm doing is basically going over to my inspector panel on the right after I clicked on the video, and I'm making the adjustments myself. So let me go back so you can see. I want to make sure I'm not leaving things unexplained. You click on the clip you want to change, go over to your inspector window over here, and I'm just going to grab the position, the X position, and slide it over. And now he's centered up in the middle, and you could make adjustments either way, or if you wanted to punch in more, you could do that as well. We don't need to do that though. Now you want to just go through and make sure everything is good. So kind of play it through, and I had to kind of decide what the main thing was in the situation. So I was showing the bag. Again, I didn't shoot this vertically, so it's not going to be perfect or ideal. So we're going to have to kind of play with this a little bit. But this is like, you know, real world situations. You don't always have the perfect scenario because especially if it wasn't like made for that. So you got to just play with it and mess around. So I think really what I'm going to do instead of trying to zoom in is I'm just going to shift the X position over. And the thing with social media is he would probably tag veto here anyway, so I'm not going to be too concerned about seeing the logo perfectly in it, because I want to be able to see the bag. That's what the main thing he's talking about, is the bag. So I want to make sure it gets in there. Okay, so I did like a little punch in thing here, and it worked for horizontal. It could work for this, but I'm going to actually, I might use it, but we'll see. Let me just slide it up real quick. Let me see what this does. I think I punched in just to have the variation there. I don't really remember why I did it exactly, but I don't think it's necessary. And then what we can do is go over to this one now and look at what we got. It's not a lot of wiggle room we can do here, and we can't really do that. So I probably would just do something like that. Top of the frame, yeah. Let's go back. Slide it over a little bit. So let's see what that looks like. Let me mute these. Going through there. Oh, okay. Was it because I was jerking around a little bit there? All right, so let's see. Let's go back to what I had before. Let's shift this down. Let's see. So we will keep what I did, and we'll just adjust it. I don't think that's bad. So let's see what that looks like now. Veto bag. You start to see the bag. Yeah, it just feels weird because you're really not seeing the bag. So I almost think that I should just start with this one and just get rid of this. Let's see. Let's see what that does. Oh, there's a jerk because I had a stabilization on it. So let's go back and restabilize the shot. I assume I did this on tripod, but I guess I just wanted to be a little smoother. Yeah, I think I would probably do something like that for the horizontal video, just to, because that other shot compositionally to me just doesn't really work well. So because if you go back to it, there's not really any point where we're seeing it. We are seeing it at this point. I gotta go down so low, and then my camera my move started jerking, so that's probably why I cut away from it, because it wasn't a smooth pan down. I messed up the pan movement, but I wanted that initial opening shot, if you would. So we're just gonna roll with this one. I think it's fine for the vertical, and I'm gonna go back and listen to what he's saying, make sure it lines up. And this is another variation. I don't know why I didn't put stabilization on that, but let's go ahead and hit perspective again. Like, yeah, if you got a shot that's not perfectly stable, you would click on it, go over to your inspector panel over here, scroll down till you see stabilization, and then you can choose a type. Most times I use perspective, but you can play with them because you'll see different variations. Some different stabilization modes work better than others, so definitely check that out. Test it on each clip you do, because it's not always the same. All right, yeah, it looks pretty good. Doesn't look too wobbly. All right, now this shot I punched in on. I think I just did it for stylistic choice, but it doesn't translate the same to me in vertical, so I'm going to just leave the shot. I'm not going to zoom in, but I am going to center him up. I think I had him off-centered compositionally to get that in there, but again, I think it looks kind of weird when you're trying to do that. I mean, it could work, but I'm going to do this just to more so get him somewhat in the center. Bring up my guide frames here. Get him somewhat centered in there. I was kind of more so trying to center his face, not so much his body perfectly. And then it cuts to that. And then I did another bag shot. So that's easy. I think that was a frame hold too. I don't think that was even, I think I did a frame hold on that one. But so basically almost like a still image, and I just added some motion to it just so it wasn't static. All right, so there's not really much I can do about that. I guess I can take off the dynamic zoom and let it sit, but that's just the framing that it has, so I might as well put that back on. It's fine. You see another bag. I can't change the the composition. It is what it is. See, you can see it there fine, and this is the downside to trying to turn horizontal content vertical. It doesn't always work if you didn't consider horizontal. I mean, if you weren't planning for a vertical format while you were shooting in horizontal, a lot of times you'll have this where parts of the image are cut off because you were framing it where the whole image would have been seen in a horizontal timeline, but now when you're in vertical, some of it's going to get cut off, and that's just kind of the nature of it, which again, it's not a big deal. Like I said, this wasn't supposed to be shot vertically or used for vertical in a vertical distribution. This is just me making something up for this video, but sometimes that happens, so it's a good real world scenario. All right, yeah, so I think that's pretty good. I could probably find another part of this to use. Let me bring it up in the, let me see another part of the frame. I could start here. That might be a little bit better if I started there. Could you see more of it for longer? Yeah, I think I'll start it there instead. So yeah, I'll just grab that and bring it down. Replace it with that. I just match frames. So if you hit F on your keyboard, it will pull up, basically pull up the original thing before you drop it into the timeline, and you can find another part of the image if you want. Put that there to match the vertical framing a little bit better, and he does his thing. And then, yeah, we ended out. So I got a bunch of clips laid out here for a project I've been working on. I'm just grab a bunch of them and just move them over here. Let's say I only need all my B-roll clips to be 1 second. So what I'm gonna do is highlight everything, and I'm gonna right click. And then once you right click, what you wanna do is go to clip duration. And I'm going to do, you can do a frames, time, whatever, but you have presets for set times. So I'm gonna hit 1 second, then you hit change. Now you see all of your B-roll clips are now cut down to 1 second, but you have all these gaps here. All you got to do now is go to edit and then hit delete gaps, and then there you go. So if you needed to do like a montage and you organize everything like in order how you needed it to be, and it just needed to be like a, you know, like cut to a certain beat, and let's say you timed it to the beat, you'd be done. So a Fusion Composition looks like an adjustment clip, but they're different things. But you see how this is like black over top? It's its own little thing in its own world, essentially. What it kind of does for you is like, I can now click on this and I can open this, well, I can open it in Fusion. So it'll go to the Fusion page and it's that clip. So it's not affecting anything else. So that Fusion composition that I just made, that's what we're inside of right now. So that's this. It's not affecting anything else but that composition. When I go back to Fusion, I'm selected. Oh, that was color page. So we're in that. Let's just say we want to add some text or something. So we'll get media out. Let me grab some text. Like I said, I'm not a Fusion pro. We're just going to call it Fusion Comp. And then if I'm correct, we should see it. Yes. Okay. I know enough about Fusion to at least do that. So Wesley to, okay, so you said, yeah. To answer your question, this is what a Fusion composition does. So as you can see, I only affected that clip. So now wherever I want this text to go, it will go. So I don't want it there. That's fine. Bam, it's there. Let's say you were to just try to do what I just did without a Fusion comp. Let's just say you went Fusion directly. It's going to affect that video. And now you have to be very precise about what you're doing. Again, I can still do this. It's not like there's it's one of those, you know, it's not like a right or wrong. There's like multiple ways to do things. Fusion Alt. Now, I don't think this is going to pop up there like I wanted to. Oh, it did. So it's on the whole clip, but now it's not on everything. I have it here, so if I want this to kind of move around, that's like a very very like simple explanation. So hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on with that. All right, so super simple, super easy. All you got to do is grab the audio you want to sync to your video, highlight all the audio tracks, then go to auto align clips, and then click on based on waveform. It'll do its analyzing. Assuming it worked, you shouldn't see any type of message or warning. And literally all I'm going to do is deactivate that so you can see it actually working. So the audio that went with the video is not going to be popping up. So all they will be hearing is the external audio that was recorded. Now let's see if it's synced up.
And my mom put me an Easter crust and I realized really quickly that I didn't find.
And there we go. Easy as that. That's how you automatically sync audio in Davinci Resolve. What's going on, guys? While I was editing this, I realized that you might have a situation where this method doesn't work. So let me show you real quick how to do it manually. So let's say that you try to do the auto align function and it didn't work for whatever reason. It's not likely, but I have run into situations where that has happened. So what you want to do is, assuming while you were shooting on set that you had some type of definitive sound marker, you can use your waveforms. You could also try to do it going by reading people's lips. That's an option, but this is the best way if you can find a distinctive spike in the waveform and try to match the two up. So I know for a fact that when we did this, I had my wife clap so that way I could find it when I'm looking through the audio. So I'll show you what she did. She clapped, which is a perfect, loud, distinct enough spike in the audio that I would be able to tell the difference between that and when she was talking. So all I gotta do here is look over here, and we happen to have a bunch of different spikes that happen, but I can listen to them and find it. Let's see, it might be that one, but I see another spike here. Okay, that was just her coffee cup. Yeah, so that was the spike, and you kind of listen to the audio around it to tell as well. So what we're going to do is just kind of play this through. And it looks like I have it right there, but you want to kind of listen for it and make sure that you're lined up. So it looks like I got it. So let me put it off a little bit so you kind of see what it sounds like when you're close, but not perfect. So all you want to do is just get over there and line that up, and now it should be perfect.
Way too loud.
But yeah, I don't hear any echoes. I know we're good. And now I'm going to deselect this one. I'm going to just hit Control D, deselect it, and now I'm going to play and make sure that her mouth is matched up with the words.
So these are just 3 of my favorite coffee drinks.
And we know we're good. All you gotta do is go up to Davinci Resolve here at the top left, come down to keyboard customization, and then it pops up all the actions you're able to do with the keyboard shortcuts. So blade edit mode, you hit B. When you're over here, if you hit B, it pulls up the blade tool without you having to go up here to click on it. But let's say you didn't want to hit B to do that. Let's say you wanted to do something different. So whatever you want to do, you can do. This is not right or wrong. This is what works for you. Let's say I wanted it to be Control/. So you would hit Control/ in that red. Let me go back, because I think I went too fast on that. You'd be here. You see where you hit the plus button, or you could delete this one. I'm just leaving it because it's fine. Just hit plus, and now this in the red, where the lit up red, where it's selected, you hit Control, and then I'm hitting slash. And then you want to hit save to make sure that you keep that. And then that's how you know you're good. So now when I come back to my edit page, if I hit Control/, the blade tool pops up, just like it did when I hit B. So that's how I set my own keyboard shortcut. And let's say you were concerned about not wanting to mess up something that was here. I mean, it's easy to go and delete it, but let's just say you don't want to throw yourself off. You can click on the 3 dots here in the top right, save as new preset, and I'm just gonna say version V2 for version 2, hit OK. So now whatever changes you make will be in V2 instead of the previous one that you have. So then once you make your changes, you would come down and hit, I'll just hit get rid of that, hit save. So now in V2, it's going to be that way. But now when I go back to the other one, we see that the R popped back up. As video editors, we're always trying to find a way to speed up our workflow, move faster, save time. And this tip definitely is a time saver. It's ripple editing. It's basically like making a cut and then hitting ripple delete. But doing it this way, you're going to cut out a lot of steps. So what you're going to want to do is go to your keyboard customization, remap these shortcuts to the Q and W keys on your keyboard. Within Davinci Resolve, the ripple delete key bindings are already in there, but they're a little bit complicated. And to me, it's not as much of a time saver as it can be. So if you already have something assigned to Q or W, it will let you know that you have something else there, but it's okay, assign it anyway. And what we're going to do is go over to Q, click it, and it's going to show you what's assigned to it. Click on the one you don't want, go over to the right, exit out, that deletes it. Do the same thing for W, click on what it is you don't want, go over, delete it, then you hit save, and you're good to go. So what you're thinking about is, I'm gonna take everything that's on the left of my playhead and bring that to my starting point. And then I wanna take everything that's on the right side of my playhead and bring that to my endpoint. You just drag your playhead to where you want your footage to start, hit Q, everything to the left goes away, and now what's left is your new starting point. And then if there's a part at the end of the clip that you don't want, you just move your playhead to where you want the clip to end, hit W, and then everything to the right goes away, and now that's your new ending point. On a smaller project, this may not seem like a big deal, but if you start using ripple editing now, it's going to save you so much time in the long run. And especially when you get bigger projects and you're working with hours and hours of footage, why not save yourself time with something that you're going to do literally every single time you edit? Is making cuts and dragging footage and deleting things and moving things around, where you can save so much time with clicking just by using ripple edits. This first tip is for the people who've been asking me how I zoom in on my timeline and expand the video and audio clips. To zoom in and out on your timeline, all you have to do is hold down the Alt key and scroll up and down on the scroll wheel on your mouse. This is the alternate way of doing it instead of going to the slider that's on the timeline to zoom in and zoom out. To increase or decrease the height of your video tracks, all you gotta do is hover where the video tracks are with your mouse, hold down Shift and scroll up or down to increase or decrease the height of your video tracks. And then you do the same thing if you want to increase or decrease the height of your audio tracks. You just bring your mouse down to where your audio tracks are, hold down Shift, scroll up and down. This is just an alternate way of doing it. You can also go over to the left side of your timeline and click on the icon, go through the drop-down menu and select the sliders for video or audio. This is one of my favorite ones to use to save time. You can hit Command B wherever your playhead is to make a cut. I like making a cut where my playhead is versus having to go to the blade tool, make the cut, and then switch back to my arrow, my mouse. It just cuts down on the amount of clicks that you need to make in order to make a cut on your project, which in the long run will save you time when you're editing for hours on projects and having to do multiple cuts. I've reprogrammed that button for me to be C on my keyboard commands. Instead of 2 keyboard clicks, it's just 1. I go wherever my playhead is, I hit C for cut, and it makes a cut right there. So I save even more time. This is another one that doesn't seem like a big deal when you don't have a lot of video tracks you're having to edit through and things like that. But when you have a timeline that's full of things and you want to be able to move clips up and down quickly, this can help. After you've selected your clip, hold the Alt button and press up and down on the arrow keys to move your video or audio clip up and down a track level. Just be mindful that when you move a video track up and down, it will overwrite whatever is underneath of it. Same thing with the audio. So if you want multiple things to go down together, make sure you have everything selected that needs to move. And if you're moving it, just be careful that you're not overriding something else that you want to stay there. I can really see this coming more into play when you have a lot of stuff going on in your timeline and you need to make precise movements with video clips up and down track layers. I got a bonus tip for you guys. I wouldn't necessarily say this is a big editing time saver, but if you hold down the Shift key and hit number 1 on your keyboard, it will pull up your project manager. This is an alternate to going down to the bottom right of your screen and hitting the house icon, which brings up the home or project management screen. It's not necessarily a huge time saver while editing, but it can come in handy when you're jumping between multiple projects at one time like I do. First trick we're going to do is copy and pasting attributes. Let's just say we want to push in on this or something like that and slide that over. Let's say I'm gonna add some kind of effect to it. Let's say I wanted to put like a drone overlay, tweak that a little bit and change some things there. All right, so this is what the new clip looks like. I mess around with the positioning of it and the transform. You see that it looks different from everything else that we have here. Instead of having to basically dial in all those settings again and then find that effect again, all I need to do is do copy and paste. So you could right click, go to copy, then you scrub over to the clip you want to paste. So then you go down to paste attributes, and then you can select what all you want to be in there. So now all I'm going to do is hit apply, and then now you see it's there. So editing trick number 2 is going to be rescaling an image. So let's say you bring in some B-roll, something like that, you want to cover it up, but it's a different aspect ratio. You know, the sizing of this one is different. This is a square. It doesn't fit with what we got here in this more, you know, widescreen 16:9 clip. So what you can do, you could totally, you know, just zoom in and do it yourself like that. But another way you can do that is to come over to your inspector panel, make sure that you have the video selected, scroll down to retime and scaling. You can go to where it says scaling and hit fill. It makes it fill out the screen size for this particular project. You can also do stretch, you know, so there's different things you can do. So that's another way of doing it without having to manually do it and come up here and, you know, size it and then move it over or crop it. If you needed to do that, you can do all with just that one click. Just to show you why using the retime and scaling is useful, it really comes in handy when you have a bunch of clips. And let's say you got like a project you're working on and all the clips are like different sizes, different resolutions. I mean, we got some a mix of 9:16 stuff in here. Kind of see the little gaps around the edges and not completely filling the screen out. So you got some things that are different. We could do this, highlight everything, and then hit fill. So now everything is lined up. Now you still need to go in and, you know, tweak things and, you know, get it each shot framed properly. But at least now you have that much of it done. So you're not having to go through each individual one and try to make it fill the screen out. So that's a good use. That's a good case to use it in. I use this one all the time. And what I would suggest to do when you do this is to make yourself another project, but you don't have to, but I'll show you why in a second. Let's say you already edited your video and it's done, but now you want to also make your social media clips for like TikTok and Instagram or YouTube Shorts. You can go down to the settings wheel here at the bottom, and all you're going to do is come right here. The first thing that pops up under master settings and timeline resolution, you can hit use vertical resolution. This is so good because you don't have to manually type in what your resolution settings need to be to make it vertical. It knows to do it by itself. You hit that, it automatically switches it to be 1080 by 1920 instead of the reverse. And now you come back to the project timeline and you can see that it is now in a vertical 9:16 resolution. So that's the easy way to do it. And then given that tip that I just showed you before, come down to scaling and then just hit fit. And then you can, you know, start over now. So if you wanted to do that, or obviously you wanted to fill that out, hit fill. And yeah, so different ways to do that. Combine these tips together, use them together in a good way. Then you would just come up, you know, and then tweak it from there to make it look how you want it to look. So I got a bonus tip for you guys. This is how you wanted to combine everything to make it one clip or something. You could right click, go to new compound clip. I'm gonna just leave the name that as that. What this allows you to do is affect this compound clip, and it will, anything you do to the compound clip will affect everything beneath it. So for example, let's say you wanted to zoom in. Now when you come in here, everything has been zoomed in. You can do anything. Let's say I wanted to grab that one of these effects again or something. I wanted to grab this and throw it on. So now everything that's in that this is actually a perfect use case for that. But let's say now that everything, like I wanted to pop everything up like that. So instead of having to grab that effect to make that picture-in-picture look on everything, by like individually, I made a compound clip, and now we're good. So if you wanted to be able to get into the compound clip now, all you need to do is open a new timeline, and it creates a new timeline here at the top. And now you can go inside that compound clip. It created its own timeline, and now you can edit each clip individually if you need to, and then you can come out and now everything's under there. If I want to change all of these to navy, I highlight all the clips I want, change clip color, and we make them navy. And there you go. If you're wondering why this is a darker blue, so far from what I've noticed, it's the effects that are in the open effects, or let's say GPU here in the side corner, that do that. The fusion effects don't seem to make the color change, but if you grab a fusion effect, you see that there's like a star there now. So just little cool things that it does. It kind of tells you what type of effect you're using or you have going on. So that's one way to do it. But let's just grab another timeline here. And you'll see that as I grab these clips, they are all their natural color by default as they would come into Davinci Resolve. But let's say I didn't want to have to do that and then go, okay, let me change the clip color now to this. Maybe I want them to be that when I first bring them in. So what I can do is I like to kind of break things up in scenes. You can do this with all the clips or however many clips you want. You just select what you want done. So I'm just going to hit here and then I'll hold shift to group all those together. Click at the one I want to end at, and it highlights all of those. Now I'm going to right click color. We'll just do teal. And now you see here in your media pool under my footage, there's a teal color line right there. So now I'll just grab this, boom. And now those are going to be that color. So even if I go back and pull it back out, it's just going to be that color. Color coding things are cool because you can do something like select all the yellow clips, and now it'll select all of those, and you can make some edits to them. So if I wanted to like do like a zoom in on it, I could do that, reshape or something, like a batch edit over multiple clips, and now it's going to be over that one as well. And go out to the original, you can see it. But yeah, so that's a cool way to do it. So you can kind of play with that in all types of use cases. Another way you can change the colors of the clips in your timeline are by actually changing the video track. So if you come to the video track layer, you can change the color. So let's say I want my video 1 to be orange. And now what happens is anything you move to that will turn to that color. But if I move this out, it's gonna go back to its default color, which is pretty cool, depending on what you're trying to do. So sometimes what I'll do is if I'm editing something that has A-roll and B-roll, I'll make my B-roll one color, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to make everything in this. We'll leave it as default. I'm just going to grab something and then bring it down. Now this only seems to work if you're using a clip as a default color. If you've already programmed a clip as a color in your media pool, it's going to keep the color you assign to it. It's not going to change to the track color. But if you grab a clip that is still the default color, it's going to take on the color of the track. So those are a bunch of different things you can do. You can change the color of a clip by clicking on the clip itself and changing it there. You can select a bunch of clips in your media pool and right click and make it a color, but it's going to remain that color throughout the project. Everything that you're pulling from in this project is pulling from the media pool. So if you grab that clip, it's going to be that color regardless of what the track is set to. Like I said, I have it set to be lime green, but it's not taking on the lime green color because it has a color already assigned to it. Then you can also change the color of your track itself to be whatever color you want it to be. So you can say, oh, now I know that everything I bring here is going to be that color. I don't have to worry about changing the color of it. If you're going to be doing editing with the clip color, make sure that you are assigning the color that you want to each clip, either by right clicking on it or doing it in the media pool. So that way, when you come up here to timeline and you hit select clips with clip color, it's selecting the ones you wanted to select and you're able to affect what you want to affect. Because you can see here, when I went to clips with color, hit orange, it's not selecting anything because these clips aren't actually orange. They're the default color. Make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing for sure. Decide how you're going to be using color when you're editing before you start editing. So if you come over here to effects and you go all the way to the top, you can see adjustment clip. So I use adjustment clips all the time, and it's something I would say if you start using them, you will see why you should use them all the time. So let's say like I have this main shot here, and I do have these other clips here that we can cut to, like we have close-ups, but when we used to do our podcast, we didn't have multiple camera angles. So what I would do would be to take two different adjustment clips, and I'm going to change the color on them so they stand out. One's going to be for one subject, the other's going to be for the other subject. So let's say I wanted to go to a close-up. Like I said, let's say I didn't have this angle, but I wanted to get a close-up just with this main shot. What I would do is program what I wanted it to do, like this. Slide it around, and it's just pushing a lot. So that would be one close-up, and then I will come over here and do the same thing, and that would be the other close-up on my wife. But now what this allows me to do is copy and paste these throughout the entirety of the video. This could be how you could make multiple camera angles and cuts. All right, so another effect I'm going to show you is the drop shadow effect. Now, in some cases, like let's say for example you were using text, like a simple, you know, text effect or something like that, in like titles, and you just use basic, it would have a drop shadow built in. So you could go over to the title, scroll down here to drop shadow, and you could adjust it and do things like that. But one thing that happens is when you're messing around with the Fusion title effects that they have built in, it doesn't have that. So what you can do if you still want to create a shadow, because it doesn't have that as an option to do, all you got to do is come over to your search, I believe it's actually in Open Effects, and just type in drop shadow, or just type in drop and it'll pop up. Drag and drop it, no pun intended, and now you can see here you have the drop shadow as an effect on your text, and you can blur it and, you know, adjust it and do whatever you want with it. You can add it to anything really. So let's say you had a video, and let's say the video wasn't filling the screen, so let's say it was like a 16:9 or was smaller, or let's just say you're just doing something, I don't know what you're doing. I have no way of knowing what you're doing. But let's just say you want to grab a solid color. I have solid color programmed already as one of my favorites, so I'm just going to grab it real quick, and I'm going to change the color to white so we can see what we're doing. And now I'm going to go grab I have drop shadow programmed as well. That's one of my favorites. Boom. Another effect I like to use a lot is in the inspector panel under composite, in its composite mode. So if you're dealing with assets, especially like in the music videos, we have a lot of layers and things. Normally you could, I guess typically you could just grab different effects. Like I have this dust and scratches pack that I downloaded and from Tropicolor, and you could just do opacity on it, but I like using like different composite modes, and you can kind of like see what it does to it because it has different effects and does different things. I think I had screen on. And like so let's go over here. Actually, I think it's a little bit better of an example. Where was it? It's towards the end here. Just going crazy. What's causing this look is the film burn I have on it. So the film burn is not just the film burn on top, because if it was just the film burn, if I had normal, all you see would be the film burn. And then if I wanted to see the clip underneath, I could go opacity. And that's one way to look cool, you know, but I'm getting these really cool looks from messing around with the composite mode settings. And that's why I definitely suggest doing that instead of dropping something on top of something else and then using the opacity slider so that way you could see what's underneath. I would definitely suggest trying composite. Another way you could use it is, let's say you wanted to use it with text exclusion. So it has this cool effect that it does where it's like, I guess, you know, pulling certain colors out. You wouldn't just get that from doing a regular normal and then pulling past it down. You don't see that effect happening. But when you go into composite mode and choose exclusion, that's when you can see some different things. The next one I'm going to show you is the transform effect. When I use the transform tool, I like to use a adjustment clip along with it. You don't have to. You could drop it right on the clip. I want to be able to move the animation around without it being stuck to a certain part of the main clip, if that makes sense. It's in Open Effects. Start to type in transform, and you can see it here. Grab it, drop it. All right, so now it's on the clip. But the reason why I like this is because it comes built in with animated motion blur. If you do it just right, you can create quick zooms with motion blur built in without having to go through the hassle of grabbing a motion blur tool, putting it on and having to distort it by hand, and then having to manually keyframe the motion out. All you got to do, I'm gonna just make it simple. So I'm gonna start it here, and then we're gonna go in. I want it to last like 5 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm gonna zoom in to where I want it to go, and then I'm going to move my positioning so I can frame it up how I want it, like that. So that's where I want it to stop at. Now I'm gonna go back to the beginning of the adjustment clip, and I'm just gonna double click on everything to reset it back to the starting point. Now with the animation, we can crank our motion blur up. So it starts, the motion blur knows, okay, when there's motion happening, I'm gonna blur it. And that's what I like about it, because it's like, you could keyframe it if you wanted to do that, but you don't need to, because it knows that there's motion happening. First thing you want to do is go to your effects. Make sure that you are in open effects. Start to type in 3D keyer. What you want is your 3D keyer. You're going to drag it and drop it onto the clip that has the green screen. Because once you remove the green screen, what is underneath that clip will become your new background. Make sure now that you go to your timeline viewer here, go to the bottom, click on the drop down arrow, open effects. You come over to effects over here in the inspector. First one's called pick. That's fine, leave it right on that. And you're just gonna click and drag your mouse to draw a line around your subject. What is going black is what is being removed. And that's actually what we want. We see parts of the subject getting removed. We probably can clean that up later. So we're gonna keep that as a pretty decent key. So technically you're done. You're good to go. What I'm gonna do though is show you how to clean up this key even more. So you see we got like this green around the edges. What you want to do is come back over to your effects, open effects, under 3D keyer, under behavior options, you have despill. I'm gonna drag it to the right. I'm just go all the way on it. And you see that it removed the green out. So it's a little bit gray, but it does help to take out the green. Now there's other things you can do, like you can kind of see on some like aberrations here and some like digital type of distortions here. Under matte finesse, if you go to number 2, there's one called denoise. You can slide that over and it kind of just like feathers that out. Pre-filter can go in and do some things. You see what it's doing. Make sure you're watching what it's doing to the subject. Around my dad's head here, you can kind of see that it's kind of like taking some of the skin out. And then also something to watch out for are glasses, because the green screen came through the glasses a little bit. So it is kind of like distorting some. So, you know, it's gotta be mindful of those kind of things. For something quick, you just need to throw a new background on. It works out well. I'm gonna just grab a blur, a Gaussian blur. You can grab whatever blur you want, but that's one of those things you can do to help to make it look a little bit more realistic. Now let's switch over to an example of what this program can do with a green screen that's not well lit. So let me just show you. Same thing, effects, 3D keyer, drag and drop. I still have open effects selected, so we're good there. Come over here, same thing, drag it. See how I even got those bends in there? That's like stuff you don't want. So like, all right, that first go was not good. So let me reset it and do it again. But it does pretty well, even considering it was not the best lighting job. Also consider when you're lighting into your green screen, remember that you don't need to use the entire screen. You can crop around your subject, because all I need is myself. I don't need the rest of the background. And I'm just going to come over until it lines up perfectly. And I'm even going to cut into the mic a little bit, because again, I'm going to shrink this video so much it doesn't really matter. Despill is the main thing that I use when I am using this tool. It pulls out the green out of my hair color. You can see that it might even still look like a little fuzzy and around the edges. So again, come back to matte finesse, go over, I'm gonna do a little bit of denoise, not a lot, just a little bit, because you don't want to, because I don't have as much room to play, because now the edges are coming back. So actually I'm not gonna mess with denoise. That's because I didn't like the green screen that well. So like I said, you want to make sure you do it well when you really need a lot of attention to detail in what you're keying out. And I'm gonna move over to the bottom here, resize, literally just in the bottom of the screen. This is definitely an easy way to do it, especially if you don't want to mess around with the Fusion page right now. Get in and out, do it really quick, 3D keyer. So if you found this video helpful, please let me know in the comments below. Leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. Until next time, peace.